Welcome back to the Top Notch Documentaries YouTube channel. In today's Israel Keys video, I go over two encounters that showcase a few of the lies that Israel told people. From a barista in Washington to the possible encounter phoned in by a woman celebrating her birthday in Texas. I hope you enjoy. For the sake of this encounter, I'll be referring to the caller as Susie. Susie called the tip line to advise that she had known Israel Keys and had many interactions with him from 2003 until 2004. She worked at the Blue Star Espresso stand in Sequim, Washington until August of 2004, and Israel had been a regular customer at the coffee stand. Susie stated that Israel was often driving a flatbed truck that towed a backhoe and that he would often be accompanied by a dog named Zeke, whom Israel claimed was his. During some of their conversations, Israel mentioned that he did contracting work and that his home base was near Bay. He had done work at the Elwha Reservation, just west of Port Angeles, and often spoke about his dog and his father. Occasionally he would purchase a Grand Mocha for his supposed father as well as for himself. His father sometimes showed up alongside Israel, but not all that often. The coffee was either $3 or $4 and Israel would always pay with a $5 note, leaving the rest as a tip for Susie. The man whom he called his father was in his 50s, had broad shoulders and dark hair, and was about 5'5" to 5'7", with no facial hair. Israel was considerably taller at 6'2", and so he was lying about the man's identity. And I say this not just because of the contrast in height between the two. Israel's father had died in 2002. Why he felt the need to lie about this is questionable, but there have been encounters where similar small lies are told by someone matching Israel's description. He was constantly lying to everyone around him, and this may have been done to prevent anyone getting close to him. And as for the dog named Zeke, it's also unlikely that it was his dog. Israel had pugs and this dog was an Australian cattle dog according to Susie. Why he felt the need to lie about this detail is also never explained. Israel never mentioned having a partner or a child to Susie, and as these conversations continued for some time, it would seem like Susie didn't really get to know Israel. Susie would recognise Israel sometime in the summer of 2004. He was on the corner of Carlsberg Road and possibly Jennifer Court, which is a private road, which is very close to Mill Road, where Blue Star Espresso once existed. His supposed father was with him and they were working together to put up a fence around a house. Israel had previously told Susie that he would sometimes aid his father with his construction work, and it appeared like this is what he was doing. Days later, and Susie would notice Israel on the same corner in the early morning hours. He was digging a hole. Was Israel simply choosing to get the work done early? Or was something more sinister taking place? Was he trying to hide something? I don't know what to make of this next encounter, but I decided to include it because there are some similar themes included. I'll be referring to this next person as Allison. Allison phoned into the tip line from Denison, Texas. She had gone down to South Padre Island for her birthday on September the 13th of 2010. Allison was by herself and had gone for a walk on the beach, which was in front of her hotel. A man whom she believes to have been Israel was sitting alone on the beach. Allison approached the man and they began talking, and he advised her that he was down in South Padre because his father was sick. He explained to Allison that he usually doesn't visit places like this as he preferred more secluded places. He was in his 30s and told Allison that his sisters think that he's the devil, as do other people. The man gave Allison a hand-carved wooden spoon as a gift, and a man resembling Israel had done something similar before in a completely different state. Weird coincidence. Anyway, Allison ended up going back to her room, grabbing some wine, and they ended up drinking some wine together. The man was wearing a baseball cap and he dressed casual. Having noticed the photos, and upon hearing the news of Israel Keys many years later, she felt that it was him. She also learned that Israel's father had died roughly 10 years before the encounter. According to the FBI, Israel's financial records appear to place him in Alaska, and the findings state appear, which means that this isn't confirmation that he was in Alaska. Was this Israel, or was this a completely different person? Comment your thoughts below. Both of these encounters highlight that Israel wasn't always telling the truth. From the lies about his dad and dog, to the possible encounter in Texas, these encounters help to create a realistic portrait of Israel, and create more speculation as to what he might have been hiding. This has been the Israel Keys video on two more strange encounters. As always, Thank you for watching.